was sharing about 3 kinds of knowledge that you should have. We should not be ignorant of what the enemy is doing. We should also not be ignorant of what God is doing. And we should also not be ignorant of what we should do when God is doing and the enemy is doing. Because you see, earth is not the house of spirits. Only a man can domesticate spirits here. So if all we know is what Satan is doing, and we don't know what we are supposed to do, or what God is doing, we will still not win. And of the children of Issachar, who had the understanding of the times, and they knew what Israel ought to do. So there was the consciousness of the shape of the spiritual and how the natural must express when the spiritual is known. So in prayers, God says, I want to help your family. And in that season, the enemy orchestrates a debt for your daddy. The thing is not to cry. You have not perfected knowledge. The next question should be, what shall I do? The invitation to the prophet was to cry. But what was his response to the invitation? What shall I cry? There is a human alignment that is required. An alignment which either empowers God in a situation or empowers the enemy. So what we have heard is that Satan is trying to cause disunity. Abi? Good. God is not even in this picture because we don't think that God is involved. And that's strange that the church thinks that Satan has become so omnipotent in trying to fracture the body of Christ. A body that was not shaped in time. When I see responses, sometimes the questions I asked is, where are you hearing from? Because where a man hears from is also a problem. I'll share with them this morning. If you are flying in a plane, rain is not a problem. Especially if the plane is big. You go above it. So if you had a Wi-Fi system, some planes have, especially if you're in business class, they give you those facilities. You now chat with somebody, say we're landing in Lagos. What's happening in Lagos? Say it's raining. It's not raining. Say it's raining. The problem is where both of you are from. I'll share a lot on that from Tuesday. Because Paul's invitation in Romans chapter 12 was to live in another dimension. Do not conform to the standards of this world. There is a knowledge faculty in the earth, and the one who wants to serve Jesus must go above it. If you don't compromise, you will not eat. If you go above that zone of scarcity, there will be no need to compromise. Are you with me? If you don't adjust your ministerial templates, nobody will come. If you go into another dimension, you'll find out that ministry is before the audience of one. And if God watches, he will score, even in isolation. I know you don't believe. But on what ground did Jesus come out of the baptismal pool of John and heaven opened and God said, this is my beloved son with whom I'm well pleased? What did he do to come into pleasure? What did he do? He just grew up. His miracles, there was no public miracle. There was nothing that earth could relate with as a ground for pleasing God apart from natural existence. There was nothing worth recording about those lost 18 years of the Christ. But God made us understand that even in hiding, there was a scoring system that was ongoing. And at the end of the scoring system, Jesus was approved of God. Maybe I should scare you further. The approval that Jesus got in his years of silence was equal to the approval that he got in his years of activity. Because God did not change the language of approval. This is my beloved son with whom I'm well pleased. He passed in isolation, he passed publicly, so hear him. We think that if we are not doing something in public view, then God is not marking anything. No, come into another dimension. In that dimension, you will see how men are scored.